Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Rare and heartbreaking. That is how Universal City Police described the stabbing death of a 9-year-old boy killed by his own mother Wednesday morning.
Details of the story so disturbing. An arrest affidavit today revealing what investigators know about that horrific scene. Erica Hernandez has the latest.
We've now learned that 50-year-old Wilma Jamitza Medina is charged with the capital murder of her 9-year-old son, David Ogbivin Ihenayer Medina. Now, according to the arrest affidavit, it was Medina's husband, who is a China Grove police officer, who had returned home yesterday morning when he began to hear screaming in their master bedroom. According to the arrest affidavit, the dad had to break the door down because it was locked. They say once he got inside, he saw his wife holding his 9-year-old son, who was not moving. Police say Medina was also stabbing herself before her husband grabbed her and tried to get what they call a dagger-like object away from her. The child died from multiple stab wounds to the neck. Medina was taken to the hospital. The arrest affidavit says while there, she kept saying she was being followed by people. She also requested an attorney when her Miranda rights were read. Now, Universal Police say this is one of the hardest scenes for first responders to respond to.
I don't think that anything could have prepared our first responders of this city for what they saw. It was devastating, and it was very, very, very rough on them. We've had the opportunity, luckily, to get our officers and have a debrief and talk about it and everything like that. And our firefighters and EMS, they've had a chance to sit down and kind of get it all out and everything like that, and take care of their mental health.
According to police, there have been no prior calls made to this home or against Medina, and they weren't aware of any mental health issues she may have had. She's been booked into the Bexar County Jail. After receiving medical care, her bond has been set at $600,000. So as of now, no pre-indictment court settings have been set for Medina, but this is a capital murder case. So if and when she ever does go to trial, the DA's office has the option of proceeding with the death penalty in this case. In Universal City, Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
If you or someone you know is dealing with family violence, help us out there, and you don't have to suffer in silence.
You can scan the QR code on your screen for a list of free resources that can help. Well, there are questions tonight after a drive-by shooting that sent one person to a hospital. It happened around 12:30 this afternoon at the intersection of El Paso Street and Southwest 21st Street. That is where San Antonio police say a person in a maroon car rolled down the window and then shot toward two people. One of them was hit in the stomach and taken to a hospital with life-threatening injuries. But we are told that they are not cooperating with police. So far, no arrests have been made.
2 bills written after the flooding deaths at Camp Mystic have now passed, and those bills are now headed to Governor Greg Abbott's desk.
It is the start of a promise that their lives and their deaths will mean change.
It's the legislation that families like the Stewards begged lawmakers to pass, and they did. House Bill 1 requires emergency planning, alerts, and training. Senate Bill 1 mandates cabins post-evacuation routes and requires ladders on cabins for rooftop access. It also prohibits cabins within a floodplain, something several lawmakers actually disagreed with, saying that camps can't afford to move their buildings and may have to close.
I spoke against the bill and talked about how this was going to really hurt camps and be detrimental to our community and to future campers. And unfortunately, enough people voted for the bill that the bill passed. And now I think we put bad legislation into play.
After the bills passed, Camp Mystic released a written statement saying, in part, quote, "Today we're writing to reaffirm our support for legislation that will make camps and communities along the Guadalupe River safer." All right, so Adam Caskey is joining us live this afternoon from Canyon Lake, which played a role on July 4th in really catching all that water from that flood, Adam.
Yeah, it played a major role in the July 4th and 5th flood event. That was, of course, a flood event upstream from the headwaters in Kerr County all the way down the Guadalupe until Canyon Lake. I mean, Canyon Lake Reservoir did its job by saving New Braunfels, saving Seguin, and then, of course, we do have more dams downstream, but this is why it was built, you know, flood prevention and even water retainment. we're going to talk more about it, and we're going to get into the story behind Canyon Lake, more factoids, more information, and its overall purpose in just a bit. Let's get to the weather, though, right now. I want to talk about Loretta, tropical storm. It's off to the west of us at this time. It's about to start throwing clouds our way, but they're nothing more than clouds that we're going to see come tomorrow. Now we get into the weekend, and that's when things change a little bit. That's when we actually start to get some rain chances. Saturday, some widely separated showers and thunderstorms, a 30 to 40% chance. I think they'd pretty much be brief splash and dash. We get into Sunday night, early Monday, and that's when the odds actually climb a little bit more. Anywhere from about 50 to 60% coverage at any time during that period. That would be Sunday night on into Monday. And there could be some bullseyes of some heavy rainfall because of the moisture content of the air that's headed our way. We're going to talk more about that and even our flash flood potential, and of course more on Canyon Lake Dam in just a bit.
All right, Adam, thank you.
All right, moving on now. So is a City Hall power struggle keeping San Antonio from going after people who dump unwanted pets?
Can we grab you for a moment? I just want to know the reasoning behind withdrawing the ACS item, ma'am. Is this part of the CCR power struggle?
So Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones there repeatedly refusing to answer our questions today after a source told us that the mayor had a proposal removed from today's council agenda. It was a plan to fine people up to $2,000 for abandoning animals.
Our Garrett Berger joins us now here in studio to explain, what do puppies and policy making necessarily have to do with each other, Garrett?
Well, Ernie, it's all about power in this case. Now, this appears to be a continuation of the same battle we saw last month when the mayor butted heads with council over how policy-making proposals should be able to move ahead. Part of that included telling council members to resubmit any of their previous council consideration requests, known as CCRs, if they hadn't been passed before the new council took office in June, throwing what could be months of work or more into uncertainty. And a City Hall insider tells us the mayor had today's proposal withdrawn because it stemmed from one of those CCRs filed under the previous council and mayor. A councilwoman the mayor has already clashed with just happens to be the one who filed it.
Are you going to confirm if this was, the mayor behind this?
That's my understanding, but I'm not for sure. I'm not 100%.
There's been a fight over the CCR process. Mm-hmm. You were one of the vocal opponents and how she handled that. Do you see this as retribution?
I'm not sure. All I'm going to say again is that this is the work of our residents. They want us to push these changes.
City Manager Eric Walsh told reporters he had pulled the proposal, but he did not answer whether it had been at the mayor's request. Jones wasn't saying either. She walked past us 4 separate times today, refusing to answer questions each and every time. Though last night her chief of staff told me the proposal shouldn't have been on the agenda because of a, quote, process issue. Though the chief said she wasn't sure of the particulars. But just in the past half hour, we received this statement from the mayor's office saying, quote, item 11 was pulled from the city council agenda yesterday evening by the city staff as the expired CCR had not been reviewed by the governance committee. As has been communicated, expired CCRs from the previous council may be resubmitted and the governance committee will decide on how best to move forward once received, end quote. Now, it's not clear when this proposal might actually end up on any agenda and come back up, but we did take a look at what it's all about. We'll tell you all about it coming up at 10. Myra, Ernie.
Very good, Garrett. Thank you so much for that. We know you'll stay on top of it. All right, well, we're staying on top of the traffic situation, and not a lot to see right now on this camera. 98 Nogalitos is pretty quiet, and actually a lot of room for people to move around and drive, but we're continuing to keep an eye on all the roads, all the construction sites, and of course, if anything breaks here this hour, we'll be sure to let you know with traffic.
Things not so smooth sailing in this next area we're going to talk about. A road construction project on the city's east side has some people doing a double take there. The city of San Antonio calls this phase 2 of the project.
Yeah, so it involves improving sidewalks and drainage and installing medians along North New Braunfels Avenue. So the work is happening on that street between East Houston and Paso Hondo. Now, 2 years ago, a similar project wrapped up just north of that area.
Oh, God. I mean, we had just finished over here and now here.
You've got to make a right turn or a left turn and then go up a few blocks before you can even, make the turnaround.
So some people who work in this area say all the detours and closed streets have been chasing away customers. The project is scheduled for completion early next year. It is a development plan that sparked controversy and questions from some about what can be done to stop it. Still ahead here on the news at 6, what former Mayor Ron Nierenberg says the city can and should do to protect your drinking water.
Who is hungry? You better be on September 20th. The second annual Texas Eats Food Festival is happening on the 20th at the Boeing Techport Center. You can try food from 20 top restaurants from around Texas made by Michelin and James Beard award-winning chefs.
So if you want to buy tickets, just scan that QR code you see there on your screen. A portion of the proceeds will benefit the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country. Can the city or the county put a stop to a controversial development? We're talking about Guajolote Ranch. It is a proposed development out near Helotes.
So the plans call for treated sewage to be dumped into Helotes Creek, which feeds San Antonio's main water supply. Sarah Costa spoke with the former mayor of San Antonio, Ron Nierenberg, who says the city can stop this plan.
And he is not mincing words about this project.
I say hell no.
Former San Antonio Mayor Ron Nierenberg is determined to protect San Antonio water.
When you have a developer who doesn't even live here coming to build thousands of homes and trying to get taxpayer relief for building a wastewater treatment plant that would put treated wastewater into our water supply, I say hell no.
The proposed Guajolote Ranch development would require a wastewater treatment plant which would treat sewage and then dump it into Helotes Creek watershed, which feeds local aquifers. That's the water supply for San Antonio and 12 other counties. Neighbor Randy Newman has been fighting this development for years.
I always ask myself 3 questions. Who profits, who pays, and who loses? In this case, the developer profits, the home buyers pay, and all the rest of us lose.
The developer, Lennar Construction, has applied for a public improvement district with Bexar County, or a PID. It's a mechanism that requires property owners to pay extra taxes for local improvements. The question viewers keep asking us, can the county or city stop the project? Nierenberg and Newman say yes.
Can that actually happen?
It can actually happen. It is in the law. It's codified in the law that they have the right to turn it down at both the county and the city, or if the county approves it, the city has the right to turn it down.
I can't recall a PID or a municipal district that's being created in a place that would compromise our drinking water.
If the county or the city don't sign off on the public improvement district, the developer can appeal at the state level, which could take years. Nierenberg believes local leaders not only have the right to deny it, but are morally obligated to.
If there is a action that is being requested that would harm the constituents of an elected official, that elected official has an obligation not to go along with it or to support it.
Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News.
I want to talk about water in this 6 o'clock show.
Indeed, yeah.
Today, look outside with live cam, taking a view here in San Antonio, but it's out at Canyon Lake that we find our Adam Caskey.
Talk about more water.
Hey, you know, it's hard to believe Canyon Lake Reservoir was at a record low, and it was just under 45% full. And then, of course, we had the big flood of 4th of July. Not only that, but rainfall, you know, in and around that as well. And now it's up to about 67, 68% full. So it's made a big comeback, but it did its job. 4th of July played a vital role. We'll look deeper into the purpose and the construction behind this dam you see over my shoulder in just a bit. I want to get to our weather pattern and start off with the flash flood potential first and foremost as we get into the upcoming weekend. And basically on a scale of 0 to 5, we're at about a 2. A 1 to 2 is where we are for that flash flood potential. Timing at any point, Sunday, especially late Sunday into Monday. The amount of rain, of course, is going to be all or nothing, as it often is around here, where some locations could get a 1/4 of an inch or less, but then bullseyes could set up where we'd have 5 inches or more in a short period of time, and that would lead to the flash flooding. So that's the primary impact. As for where, That's still a bit of a lottery ticket, the rain lottery as we like to call it around here. But I think odds are starting to favor places closer to the Rio Grande and even along and south of Highway 90. Tomorrow, another dry day. Saturday, Sunday, 30 to 40% coverage of some showers and storms. Sunday night into Monday, about 50 to 60% coverage across our area. Again, not everybody getting in on it, but at least half to little more than half should see some drops at some point in that time frame. So you see the white clouds on the screen there from western Mexico being thrown our way. They're going to make it here tomorrow, and you'll notice some just ornamental clouds in the sky, mid and upper levels from what is now Tropical Storm Lorena. Remember yesterday, this was a hurricane? Well, not anymore. It's having a hard time staying put together, and it's not really going to last much longer. But it's the leftovers, the tropical remnants, as we like to say, the rain-making energy, the tropical moisture aloft. That's what we get from these Pacific systems. The moisture closer to the ground, that humidity you feel, that's from the Gulf, right? Always the case. But the exact timing and location, of course, remains the primary uncertainty. Notice the green on this map. That indicates available moisture. We're talking from the ground all the way up to 30,000 feet high. And there are times when we get into heavy rain events around here that the air is basically saturated, that bright green to almost white color. And we could see that in some parts of South and Central Texas. I think especially along and south of Highway 90 for the highest moisture content. But that doesn't mean you couldn't see a quick downpour in the hill country or quick flash flood warning in the hill country. There still is that potential. 99 was our high temperature today. Ooh, we eluded triple digits just barely, but it counts. It's official. 99 the high. Look at the record, 109 set back in the year 2000. This is a steamy stretch in 2000 where we had these really hot temperatures. 99 right now, dew point of 51 though, so no heat index value. Actually feels just fine when you factor in the mugginess. You go to Carrizo Springs, 104, Laredo 104. That's where the heat is really on, but we'll trim back a little bit as we get into the weekend. Tomorrow's still up there, 76 in the morning, 90 at noon, 100, more of the same, more of what we've been experiencing, just some of the ornamental clouds that come in way high in the sky, usually about 20 to 30,000 feet up. We'll have those tomorrow. Still temperatures though, making it to around triple digits. 101 Hondo, Nixon Smiley 101, 99 for the high tomorrow in Bulverde. Here in Canyon Lake will be about 98 for the high temperature. Notice the temperature trend with those increasing rain chances, 96 Saturday, 90 on Sunday, and we could even be in the mid 80s for high temperatures on Monday, depending on how long some of the rain and even the clouds associated with the remnants of Lorena, how long that actually sticks around. Then we get by Tuesday and especially the rest of the week, a bit of a ridge builds and it's another dry pattern. You know, so often around here, such was the case this summer, that extended dry stretches, droughts, come to an end with heavy rainfall and flooding. That was the case for parts of the hill country. However, other parts of our area still under some severe and extreme drought where we didn't get as much rain. We'll take a look at the newest drought monitor that was updated today, along with our Canyon Lake coverage and the story about the dam and its history and its purpose coming up at 6:30.
Yeah, we'll find out what all you learned. Thank you, Adam.
And if he ends up in the water, we'll see.
That too.
We'll see. Okay. We know football's about to happen, and it's no secret the Cowboys, you know, they get a lot of eyeballs, and Dak Prescott probably gets more than most quarterbacks.
He sure does. I mean, being the quarterback of America's team, a lot of people are always watching you. Dak Prescott was voted one of the 6 team captains, and it's more special because it's voted on by your teammates, so he's all about that. And in women's soccer, UIW will take on UTSA tonight. Mary Rominger is there, and she has more coming up. We are less than 1 hour away from the Dallas Cowboys kicking off the 2025 NFL season at the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 8.5 points to knock off their NFC East rivals. Dak Prescott is one of 6 captains this season, joining wideout CeeDee Lamb, defenders Osa Odigizua and Donovan Wilson, and Brandon Aubrey and C.J. Goodwin on special teams. Now in his 10th season, Dak is honored that his teammates voted him as one of the 6 captains.
Yeah, something I don't take for granted. It means a lot, one, just to get back to the year-long captains, getting to put the C on my chest. Something that I always, before I got to the league or, when I was a kid watching this game, used to love watching the quarterbacks and the players that had the C on their jerseys, understand what it means. But, to be selected as that and really to be one of the 6 elected, I think just that number growing. And I don't know if Shadi alluded to it, but he initially said like 3 or 4, and then the number doubled pretty much. And I just think that's a credit to each and every guy on that group and being picked by their peers, and just means they're handling business, doing things the right way. And as I said, something I don't take for granted, and move forward each and every day with a lot of responsibility because of it.
Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts has a career record of 4-3 against the Cowboys. He's 3-3 against them as a starter and 3-0 versus the boys at home. This week he was asked about facing the Cowboys defense led by DC Matt Eberflus.
The Cowboys are a really good team. Obviously got a unit on the other side of the ball too, and that uplifts them and a number of ways. Defensively, with Coach having a new defensive coordinator, you don't really know what iteration he's going to put out there on the field. And so it just comes down to kind of playing fast and playing clean football. Obviously, the defensive backs are really good. Got a really tight-knit front 7 group playing with Kenneth Murray. Very familiar with him and their safeties. They've been there a very, very long time. So they got a really good group. And they've always been able to find ways to be disruptive, and so that's something that is on top of mind.
The Cowboys and Eagles will kick tonight at 7:20 from Lincoln Financial Field. For the second consecutive year, the Battle of the Birds between UTSA Soccer and UIW is going down at Toyota Field. The hometown showdown between the Roadrunners and Cardinals will kick off at 6:30 tonight. KSAT 12 Sports' Mary Rominger is there, and she has more.
It is a beautiful sight, Larry. College soccer at Toyota Field, San Antonio's largest soccer venue, getting a night off from SAFC for the Battle of the Birds, the hometown showdown between the UTSA women's soccer team and Incarnate Word. Now, UTSA won this rivalry match last year, 1-0, but what's different this time around is both clubs are about 3 weeks into their season. Last year, this was one of the first games that they played, so both head coaches, Derek Pittman for UTSA and Jake Plant for UIW, say both of their teams should be more poised, more fundamentally sound, and a savvier version of themselves. Now, as far as records go, it's 2s across the board. UTSA is 2-2-2 and UIW is 2-2. That will change tonight. It'll be a fun one. We will have highlights and post-game reaction tonight on the Night Beat. Mary Rominger, KSAT 12 Sports. Back to you, Larry.
Thank you, Mary. And by the way, Mary was in the way of a sprinkler while taping some stuff. We'll have that for you on the Night Beat.
Oh, we have tape as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, not a terrible place to be.
Yeah, it's a little refreshing. All right.
All right.
You got football and you got football tonight. All right, very good. Thank you. We'll be back.
Larry. Dealing with drought, we often talk about how low water levels are at local lakes, including Canyon Lake.
Right, and that is where we find our Adam Caskey this evening. He's live. And Adam, you actually learned something fascinating, that Canyon Lake would have been able to handle the July 4th floodwaters even if the lake had been at the normal full level at the time.
Yeah, that actually surprised me. A lot of us were under the assumption like, oh, it's good, Canyon wasn't at conservation pool. It was about half full, so it did absorb the swell of water just fine. But I learned today after talking to the Army Corps of Engineers that even if it was at conservation pool, 909 feet above mean sea level, it still could have handled it. There's enough wiggle room to handle it. I want to show you right off here. You see that black line? That's the conservation pool, 909 feet above mean sea level. That's not 909 feet of water, people. That's its level above mean sea level. And then at 943 and up, that's when the spillway takes over and it goes around, which of course happened back in July of 2002. And you got the gorge there, and it unearthed some cool stuff, including some dinosaur prints back then. But let's take a look back at the history and purpose of Canyon Lake Dam and Reservoir.
This image from July 4th is unforgettable. The Guadalupe River, so high and powerful, it bowled over trees, ripped them out of the ground, rammed houses off their foundations, and gripping them in its strong current. The rush of the river, powerful and uncontrollable, could have flooded areas from the hill country all the way down to Victoria and the Gulf Coast. But fortunately, Canyon Lake Reservoir stood ready.
On July 5th, 4:30 a.m., I think it was around 35,000 cubic feet per second. So that was the big peak flow that we had coming in.
Canyon Lake Reservoir was able to catch the floodwaters. Take a look at this video posted on KSAT Connect on July 5th. It looks like you could almost walk across all of the debris.
And this right here is where the debris flowed into Canyon Lake. We're near Cranes Mill Park on the far west side of the reservoir, and this is where the Guadalupe meets Canyon Lake.
It takes a day and a half for the water to travel down.
Marcus Shemak is the Operations Project Manager with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Fort Worth District. He says the lake's water management team was on their post monitoring the speed of the flood and weather and current river conditions downstream to activate emergency plans if needed. But that wasn't the case because Canyon Lake was at a historic low due to Texas's years-long drought.
We were more than 31 feet below the top of our conservation pool. So we had a lot of storage in our conservation pool.
Conservation pool basically just means the lake is at capacity, 100% full. That's the black line that you see on the rock down there. Anything above that would mean flooding, and the spillway would divert the water around the dam. There was plenty of room left to take on the water from the July 4th flood.
And so from July 5th through July 6th is when we noticed an early 10-foot elevation increase out here at Canyon Lake. And essentially from like, July 5th through August 8th, the lake did come up from that like 14.8 feet, 85,000 acre feet of water from that. It probably could have been a little bit more.
The Guadalupe River did rise up over its banks in some areas downstream on July 4th and 5th in places like New Braunfels and Seguin. Things got concerning, but not destructive and too problematic.
The dam did its job just like it has in the past. It prevented those floodwaters from going downstream and doing further damage down there.
Oh, the breeze just finally kicked in. The water's like glass today, not much of a breeze out here, beautiful day. And of course, locals who come here for recreation are happy to see a few boat launches still are actually open. Most of them aren't, but a few are open. We were on the water earlier today. That's where you saw us showing you the where the Guadalupe runs into the Canyon Lake Reservoir. And actually earlier today, I was talking to one of the locals who was a little kid during the construction of the dam. And we're going to get into more of the history of it and the construction coming up in just a bit. We'll be right back after the break.
All right, we're back here with live cam and an accident that we're monitoring right now that just came on. Well, we'll get to it in a little bit. Actually, live cam, we're showing you outside. But traffic-wise, we are monitoring something at 37 in Southeast Military. So if we get an update on that, we'll show it to you. But plenty of sun to be had right now.
Yeah, we're going to go back out live to Adam Caskey out at Canyon Lake. You're going to get to the forecast in just a bit. But first, we're talking about the purpose of Canyon Lake. It was built for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely a reason. And that's, flood prevention and then water retainment as well. There's no soil here. We are on hard rock. This is all rock, and that's what the hill country is. That's what a lot of San Antonio is. This is why we don't have farmland here, right? You can maybe have some cattle, but not farmland. So it's like when it rains hard, it's like pouring water onto concrete. It's not going to soak in, and with all the hills that we have, they act as funnels to funnel the water. So it runs off quickly and funnels down into the watersheds. And that's why we are Flash Flood Alley and notorious for flooding. Now, earlier today, just out of chance, I happened to talk to a man and his wife and locals here. And he said, yeah, I was a little kid. I was 5, 6, 7 years old when the dam was being built. I remember I'd come out here with my dad. We'd look down River Road, see the equipment carrying the big boulders up and all the construction equipment to build the dam. And since then, it has held tight and it's kind of changed everything around here, and it did its job like we saw 4th of July, 5th of July, and in many other events as well. So here's a little look back on the Canyon Dam.
Waters of the Guadalupe River and Canyon Lake Reservoir are one and the same. Many people know Canyon Lake for beautiful homes and recreation, such as boating, fishing, jet skiing, and more. But the main purpose behind this lake is survival.
Canyon Lake is constructed a man-made reservoir. and it was constructed for flood control and for water supply primarily.
And it was built by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Marcus Schemank is the operations manager with the Corps' Fort Worth district, which oversees Canyon Lake. He says early on, Guadalupe River had a reputation for flooding.
The Guadalupe River was no exception. A lot of flood events, especially in the 30s, some bad ones. And so that spurred people to start talking about the need for flood control and flood protection on rivers.
The Corps of Engineers were given the task to accomplish flood control and prevention, and the state of Texas created the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority to oversee water resources of the river from the hill country all the way down to San Antonio Bay along the Gulf Coast.
The Corps of Engineers presented a report in 1939 and a recommendation that it be constructed.
It being Canyon Lake Reservoir, but Schemank explains it truly took an act of Congress before anything could happen.
Canyon Dam, it had to have congressional authorization.
Congress passed two laws, the Rivers and Harbors Act of 1945 and 1954. Construction started in 1958. So why did engineers select this area?
They're looking at geology, the porosity of the ground. They're looking at other features, and then, of course, proximity to population areas to make sure where they place this thing is a good location in terms of physical features, but also in an area where they can provide the desired protection.
The U.S. Army Corps completed the dam in 1964 for just under $19 million. 4 years later, the water level hit conservation pool, which is 909 feet above mean sea level. And actually that black line you see right there.
That was built to allow excess water in the lake to go over it to prevent the dam from failing in the event of an extreme flood. It would take a decade before Canyon Dam was put to the test. That's when the remnants of Tropical Storm Amelia dropped 40 inches of rain on the hill country. The Guadalupe River jumped its banks, hitting the town of Comfort hard, and then the waters were intercepted by Canyon Lake.
It was 10 years after it reached conservation pool in 1978, and the lake rose up 21.6 feet into flood pool. So that was the first significant event.
Since that time, Canyon Lake Reservoir has been able to sustain the girth and power of the Guadalupe River when it floods, with the July 2002 flood being the only time in its history when the lake was filled to capacity and flood waters went over the spillway.
And there you have it, the history, the reasons why, and how it took, about 4 years for it to fill up after being built, and then at least to reach conservation pool, be specific, and then about a decade after being built to where it really got put to the test, and it's been passing tests ever since. We have other dams along the Guadalupe, but without them, there would have been more devastating floods from Kerr County, Ingram, Hunt, all the way down to Victoria, Texas, and even Seadrift, where the Guadalupe flows into the back bay, San Antonio Bay. Good fishing, by the way. Anyway, we'll be right back. I'm going to take a look at the drought monitor and, of course, our updated rain chances for the weekend in just a bit.
Hi, we're back now, 6:45, and wanted to mention this accident that I alluded to a short time ago, and now we have it on the camera. And it's not on 37, not on the highway. This is the camera at 37 in Southeast Military, but you can see a lot of activity right now. Multiple vehicles, a flatbed truck, fire unit, and some police vehicles out there as well. So avoid this area if at all possible, and if you're on 37, it might get your attention. But again, 37 at Southeast Military, a pretty significant multi-vehicle accident happening there right now.
All right, let's turn to the forecast now. Let's go back out live to Adam Caskey. He has educated us on the purpose and the history of Canyon Lake and the dam there. So now let's talk about those rain chances, Adam. We have been watching so very closely, and the timing.
One more piece of education to come up, Myra. One more, not really necessarily Canyon Lake related. We'll get to that in a minute. First, let's get right to the latest drought monitor and take a look at this full screen. You look across the state, we still have about 20% of the state considered in drought right now. And around here, of course, we have the extreme or the severe and exceptional drought. Basically all drought categories across the KSAT 12 viewing area. Kerr County, most of Kerr County,
Not even considered abnormally dry, no drought. You get to Castroville, Lytle, Devine, that's where you see that dark maroon, and that's the exceptional drought. And in San Antonio, we're still in that red area, which is extreme. We need more rain. Now, we've had a decent amount, but the problem is the spring flows are still way below average, and the aquifer is still really low, about 29 feet below average. Rain chances at 30% tomorrow, up to 60%, or I should say not 30% tomorrow. Tomorrow's nothing. Okay, tomorrow's nothing. Saturday, Sunday, 30 to 40%, 60% Sunday night, on into Monday. It all hinges on what is now Tropical Storm Lorena. But let me tell you, not tropical storm for much longer. The leftovers and remnants of that system will head our way. So that's the leftover rain-making energy and some tropical moisture. But remember, it's not going to be equal opportunity. So don't expect rain everywhere. It's going to be about half to just over half of south central Texas getting in on some of the raindrops. Tomorrow, sunny, 76 in the morning, 100 by the afternoon, be at triple digits tomorrow. Looking ahead, temperatures drop a little bit as we get into the weekend, 96 Saturday, and then 90 on Sunday into Monday, depending on how long the rain and clouds linger around, probably in the mid 80s. So I said one more piece of education. You ever heard of diapering? Oh, shoot, hold on. I've got my winner of Thermometer Thursday. Let me get to that. I've got it for you. That is Michael Webb of San Antonio. Happy Therm Thurs, y'all. Michael Webb, you're going to be getting the confirmation email very, very soon. Go to ksat.com/thermometer to enter the drawing. Okay, where was I? Myra, Ernie, you ever heard of diapering while on the lake?
Oh, my word.
Yes, I have.
You ever heard of it?
But hearing it is one thing.
Always double check your
Seeing it
pockets.
is another.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then it floats you upright like that. Now this isn't how to appropriately wear it, on a boat for safety, but for fun purposes, definitely how we do it. Growing up around lakes up north,
Don't you
this is all we
change that
did.
on
Diapers.
TV here. Don't you change
So there you go.
your
There's
diaper
your
on TV.
last little piece of education here.
Our engineers are so nervous right now.
With the microphone.
That mic
Oh,
in
yeah.
the middle of the water.
Oh, it's close, engineers. It's close. It's close.
Keep it up high there, Caskey.
God, this feels good.
Assuming he's talking about the
All right,
water. So
back to you.
we'll
I'm
go
going to
with
stay
that.
here
There
through
he
the night
is.
beat.
Okay.
Caskey and diapering and Therm Thurs.
Mike, well, I was going to say mic drop, but don't drop the mic.
Yeah, please
don't
don't.
drop the mic.
We'll be right back.
God, wow.
The second annual Texas Eats Food Festival is just a couple of weeks away, and it is your chance to get some top-tier bites.
I'm just thinking about it. My mouth is watering. David Elder went to La Panaderia today to give us a taste of what you can expect from this year's event.
Hey guys, we're out here on the northwest side of San Antonio at La Panaderia, right next to Fiesta, Texas. And joining us right now is David Caceres, pastry chef and owner out here. Thank you so much for having us.
David, I'm so happy to have you here.
I was happy to be here earlier. I'm happier to be here right now because you have so many great bites on the menu. You have a huge cake in front of us.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot going
we're
on.
at the lab, so.
Yeah, we're in the bread lab right now, and we're here because we want to talk about all the bites that you're going to have out at the Texas Eats Food Festival happening September 20th at the Boeing Center at Techport, which will also have live music from Gunpowder Soup. So make sure you get your tickets, scan the QR code on the screen, or go to txfoodfest.com. And David, you're going to be showing us right now. This is a secret bite.
Yeah, I mean, you are literally just working this,
Yeah, so it's being worked on, but it is like a Dubai chocolate inspired like pan dulce, right? This has the bones on top, right? This is a traditional
traditional pan de muerto.
Yeah.
Just with a twist, the chocolate Dubai twist.
Yeah, a chocolate Dubai pan de muerto twist. And check this out on the inside. Look at all that. So it's pistachio cream. You have the Nutella on the inside, pistachio on top.
Yes.
And then you have all that granulated sugar. I did take a bite earlier, and let me tell you, the texture is beautiful on this, and the bread is super fresh. You guys can go out, get your tickets, and experience La Panaderia, as well as 20-plus award-winning chefs out at the Texas Eats Food Festival. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Literally, we can't wait for it.
Make sure you scan the QR code, get your tickets. David, thank you so much for having us out here. And you guys, we're going to have a lot more with different restaurants all across the city here coming up next week on GMSA.
Forget dinner. I'm ready for dessert.
No kidding. Fantastic. Well, as David said, it'll be here on September 20th at the Boeing Techport Center. If you want to buy tickets, you can scan the QR code there on your screen.
And a portion of the proceeds will benefit the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country. We'll be right back. All right, we're keeping tabs on this issue out here. The camera, again, 37 Southeast Military. We've seen fire trucks leave the scene. Looks like it's in the clearing stages, so traffic should hopefully be flowing there shortly.
Okay, that's all we have for the 6 o'clock hour.
Yeah, we'll be right back here for the night beat.